swing is one of the most important components of the physical game because your arm swing determines the direction your ball is going. So as we know in bowling, repeating is key, and if your arm swing is not in great shape, it's going to be impossible to repeat shots. It's going to be really hard to have a strong release at the bottom. Also, it's going to make it really hard to create different types of shapes that you need. The perfect arm swing is the one that goes straight forward and straight back. If you look at some of the best bowlers in the world, the majority of their arm swings are aligned with the back of their head. Everything is in line, and it just makes it easier to repeat shots. So we really want to focus on minimizing the movement on the swing, keep it as straight as possible, and that's going to help us to repeat more shots and bowl your best. One of the most common mistakes that we usually see with the arm swing is when it bumps outside of your head. That's gonna make it really hard to have a strong release at the bottom. It's gonna make it really hard to create some shapes on the lane, and because it's coming outside of your head, it's gonna give you the tendency of pulling the bowling ball, creating inconsistency and make it really hard to repeat shots. So you just saw me executing some shots, exaggerating my arm swing coming outside of my head, and as you guys notice, it's really hard to get that ball to the right. It gives you the feeling that you are muscling the ball, it gives you the feeling that you are actually trying to pull it, but it's not the case. What is happening is my arm swing, because it's coming from the outside, it doesn't let me get that room that I need in order to have a strong release. Also, it's impossible to throw it to the right, and most of the times you want to create that shape to the right in order to play the lanes certain way, and with my arm swing being from the outside, it's just not possible. So the second problem right here is when the swing is too far inside your body. So that's gonna make you use your shoulders more. It's gonna make it really hard to repeat the shots. It's gonna make it really hard to get that nice strong release at the end. The second tip here is simply adjusting your speed. So by slowing down our speed or throwing it faster, we can drastically affect our ball motion down lane. So if sometimes, for example, when the lanes are a little bit more oily than last week, we see like our ball having trouble to get through the pins, by simply adjusting our ball speed to throwing it a little bit slower, we may improve that carry. Or the other way around, if you don't want to move left and you see your ball start like hooking a little bit early, by throwing it faster, we can get our ball through the fronts a little bit better. So we're gonna go to lanes, and then we're gonna show you different tips so you can adjust your ball speed, either slowing down or throwing it faster. So here I'm gonna show you an easy tip to decrease your ball speed. So there are many different ways to do it, but the easiest one that I found without messing around with my swing or the way I throw it is simply by adjusting my footwork. So it's important to know that the power comes from the legs. So if we shorten our approach by a little bit, we will have less momentum, and therefore we're gonna be able to slow down our ball more. So what I like to do in order to have a slower speed is simply moving a step forward on my approach. So let's say if I normally stand on the dots, I'm just gonna move half a step forward and leave everything else the same. I'm gonna feel like I'm walking a little bit slower, and that's exactly what we want, because that's gonna help us to decrease our ball speed without messing around with our physical game. All right, so when it comes to increasing our ball speed, it's gonna be the same concept. Remember, our power is coming from our legs. So if we have a little bit more approach, we're gonna be able to get our feet moving a little bit faster. So what I like to do is simply, if I stand on the dots, I'm just gonna stand half a step a little bit backwards. All right guys, so there you go, 2 easy tips to either increase or decrease your ball speed. It doesn't matter how many steps you take, the starting position is really important. You wanna have that athletic feel, you wanna have your feet staggered a little bit, you wanna have that knee bend, because that's gonna step you up on the whole approach. So if you are a little bit too leaning forward or a little bit too leaning back, that's gonna lead up to mess up your whole approach. So the second key that we're gonna touch upon here is the crossover step. On the 4-step approach, that's gonna be your first step, but on the 5-step approach, it's gonna be on your second step. So the crossover step is really important because it's gonna give a space to the ball to get into your swing. So that's why it's really important, it's key. Of course, you don't wanna overdo it. If you do it too much, it's gonna lead to inconsistency. If you don't do it enough, it's also not gonna give enough space to the ball to get into the swing, and it's gonna lead to inconsistency. So you wanna make sure you have somewhere in between, you're crossing over your step, somewhere that you can do it consistently. So the next step that we're gonna talk about here is the 3rd step. The 3rd step, it's gonna be a normal step. You don't wanna overdo it, you just have to be a normal, straight step. And it's really important because it's gonna lead up to the most important step of them all, the power step. The power step is where all the power is gonna come, so you wanna make sure you do a normal straight step that's gonna lead you up to a strong power step. A lot of people think that the power comes from with your arm, with the release, with your elbow, but in reality, power comes from the legs, comes from the footwork. So that power step is gonna lead you up and it's gonna help you to generate all that power that you need to get a strike. So on the power step, you wanna make sure you are bending that knee, you're feeling that pressure on the ground, that it's gonna lead up to a slide. So the last part of the 5-step approach is the slide step. So you don't want to make a sliding to the right or too much to the left. You want to make sure it's a straight slide, and that's going to help you to be consistent. Also, it's very important to focus on posting at the line. Make sure you're bending your knee enough, also keeping that tray leg down. It's going to help you to be consistent throughout the whole approach, and it's going to help you to make more consistent shots. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.